there is also a tool called Advanced Filter. With that, as the name says, we can do things that are a little more advanced. But before we get to that, we have to start with really simple things. Namely, when we do an advanced filter, we have to at first write out a criteria. Here we have written out, for instance, city Pärnu. So if we run an advanced filter on that, we will have all the Pärnu's sales taken out. There's also city Valga, brand Marvin. So that will work as well. It will be Valga's Marvin sales that are taken out. If we write total is more than 20,000, then that's how it works. But if we want to take, for instance, out Tallinn, Tartu, and Võru all, we have to write them below each other. And in that, there is such a logic that each row forms like one query into the database or into the data table. So at first we get the results for Tallinn, then for Tartu, then for Võru, and they're all added together and form one result. Now, another thing is this query. Here we write that we want to see Tallinn's Balrogs in the count more than one. And if we want to see Tartu's Balrogs in the count of more than one as well, we have to write everything anew in the next row. So once again, one row is a separate query. So if we want both Tallinn and Tartu to have Balrog over one, then we write it out twice. And keeping with the same logic that one row is one query, we have to write in here brand Aragorn, and now if we want the dates to be in range from 10th to 20th of January 2009, then we have to write date out twice, because this all forms one query, Aragorn between 10th and 20th. Okay, let's make one of our own. We would like to take out where city is Tallinn, and brand is Frodo. I almost made a very crucial mistake in here. Namely, if we write out such criteria, we may not even make one mistake with an extra space in the end. If we put an extra space in the end, it will not recognize the result, as it has to be exactly the same. The safest way perhaps would be to copy everything. So something like this. We take city, copy, paste it in here, and so forth. So this is also one approach. Okay, so this is how we get Tallinn's Frodo's. One more thing, let's make it more complex. Let's say that we want, next to Tallinn's Frodo's, there's a mistake, there's a typo in Tallinn's silly name though. If we want, next to Tallinn's Frodo's, also take out everything from Tartu. So all Tallinn's Frodo's and everything from Tartu. Then remember, that's how it works. One query, one row, which means that Tallinn's Frodo's are one row and Tartu's everything else is in another row. Here we have emptiness, which means that it doesn't have to be Frodo, it can be anything. And now let's run it. We will do such a thing. Let's make a habit out of clicking inside the table always. So let's click in here and do data, and this time advanced. And now let's learn how advanced filter works. First of all, it selects list range here, and as we see properly around the table we have the active selection, so the list range, our data table, has been correctly selected. Now, after list range, always the second thing we should do is click on copy to another location. If we don't click on it, it will just make those blue row numbers and make half of the table disappear, and we'll have to copy it ourselves. That's why we will do it. We will do it more quickly here. And now, criteria range, and select everything with the header, because otherwise, if you don't select the header, then it means that it doesn't recognize things. Think of it this way. Let's say you have in your table you have your city of birth and city of current residence. And both can be Tallinn or Tartu or whatever they are. And then you would have to have those headers, otherwise it doesn't recognize which one you mean in a criteria. And now copy to, and let's just click on in here. This is the upper left corner of the table, and click OK. And here it is. All Tartu's Frodo's, all Tallinn's Frodo's, and everything from Tartu. Okay, so we got this result. Next up, let's make it a little bit more complex. Let's say that we want Tallinn's and Tartu's, Aragorn's and Frodo's. So, city, Tallinn, Tartu, and brand, Aragorn, Frodo. And now let's see what's wrong with that. As we said, actually, what is the mistake that's been made here? As we said, actually, this is supposed to be Tallinn's and Tartu's, Aragorn's and Frodo's. But thinking of it, we see that it only takes Tallinn's, Aragorn's, and Tartu's, Frodo's. So we have to write in here Tartu, Aragorn, and Tallinn, Frodo. So sometimes advanced filter is more difficult to use. But let's see something good that comes out of its use. Namely, we're going to be clicking inside the table again. We'll do data advanced. We'll make sure that the list range is okay. Now we'll click on copy to another location to get the results out elsewhere. Now we click on criteria range, which is absolutely bad, incorrect, because it selects the previous one, so we delete it and select the new one, all with the header, all 10 cells. Now copy to, and now let's not run it yet. Namely, we want to see something like this here. With advanced filter, we can only take out a subset of the table's columns. For instance, we can write in here date and count. So these are the only two columns that are taken out. So let's run advanced filter now, and we'll get only those two columns. So once again, list range okay, copy to another location, criteria range delete and replace with the new one. Copy to range, and now in copy to range we'll just select these two cells, and as we see, the results are only the dates and counts for Tallinn's and Tartu's, Frodo's and Aragorn's. Okay, now let's make the third advanced filter, and let's make it even more difficult. Namely, sometimes we need to make the advanced filter appear, make its results appear on a different sheet. So we do right click and insert in your sheet, and then we write for instance brand Frodo, Aragorn, and date. Let's say that date has to be, for Frodo, it has to be between 10th of January 2009 and 20th of January 2009. Let's make equal signs appear here as well, just as we did actually before in the previous exercise. So the thing is that we make this date filters active only for Frodo. For Aragorn we take everything out. And now the columns are as follows. Let's say date, brand, city, and total. Here it is. And now we will run the advanced filter on the next on this new sheet. For instance, we can we can couple this Microsoft Excel worksheet with Visual Basic Program, and sometimes we want the Visual Basic Program to really fancily run the advanced filter very frequently and every time user interacts with the sheet. So in that case, we might want the results only to be on this new sheet. And then we have to remember that the advanced filter will work only if we run it from the result sheet. So we have to be in here. And the easiest way to do it is to select an empty cell, because remember, we always made a habit out of selecting the table ordinarily. And now we select an empty cell, and we do advanced. Okay, now copy to another location, because we want to copy things here. List range, and we go back in here and select the table. This is list range. And now, once we select the list range, this is something to be remembered always while using such tools as Advanced Filter. Click to next place criteria range right away. If you press any arrows, page ups, page downs, it will mess up your list range. So click on criteria range, select this criteria. Now select copy to and those columns, and OK. Here it is. So here it is. We can see now the dates. There is also one Aragorn sale in Tallinn. That's out of the date range. Otherwise, it's either Aragorn's or it has to be Frodo within the date range. Okay. And now to more complex uses, the more essential uses of Advanced Filter.